Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Peter Palmer podcast, where we attempt to read every Stan Lee written issue of The Amazing Spider-Man, week by week. And my name is Mike, and with me as always is my co-host,
Sammy.
Yep.
With an IE.
With an IE. We're in the park this week. It's nice, but it's a bit windy, so hopefully that won't be too much of a problem.
You might hear some children about. It's the school holidays.
Yeah, it's mainly the wind I'm concerned about, you know. How are you, Sammy, this week?
I'm windy this week.
Windy?
Windy.
That's cool.
Yeah, good.
Oh yeah, we missed last week's podcast. Apologies for that, but we'll be doing 4 issues this week to make up for it.
This is 4.
That's what I did.
8.
Yeah.
No, now it's 4.
It's 4.
Now it's 8.
Oh, okay. Well, regardless, we're doing 4 issues this week, so we're just going to do the ones were meant to do last week, and then just the next 2. Hopefully it won't take too long, but yeah, that's how it goes. Movie segment time.
This is the movie segment with Sammy and Mike. This is the movie segment. Hang in tight, my boy.
What did you watch?
Me?
Yeah.
Probably quite a bit, because it's been 2 weeks now.
Not surprisingly, didn't watch much. Well, we watched Ad Astra.
Yeah, you can talk about Ad Astra while I look up stuff.
I really liked it. I enjoyed Ad Astra. Yeah, it was one of those movies where, like, white guy goes to space and thinks about his life on Earth.
That was a bit of a sook.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was good. I was saying after, or not after, but I was saying to you a couple of days later, how it's a very straightforward sci-fi story. Like, it's not really about a sci-fi plot.
Concept,
Yeah,
so like Interstellar, where it's like science.
Yeah, like you can explain the whole movie in one sentence, really.
Yeah. It's not really about space. It's about a guy and his relationship with his father and how like that affected his life and his relationships, and him coming to terms with like letting that go.
Yeah, exactly. And it had all these weird detours too, like all this stuff that I wasn't really expecting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't know this would happen in this.
Yeah, Space Monkey, but I'm not going to spoil it, so that's what I'm going to say.
You kind of did, but it's
like,
alright.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not... Yeah.
I didn't know it was like a future set movie.
Yeah, no, I didn't know much about it either. I didn't even know Tommy Lee Jones was in it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But, yeah.
Also, I asked you this as well, but do you reckon they purposefully cast ape-like looking people in this?
No, I don't think they are ape-looking. I don't think Brad Pitt is ape-looking.
I always, whenever I see his face, I'm always like, he's got a very chimp-like aura about him. Yeah.
Seriously?
Not in like a bad way. Like.
No, I know, but I don't know what you mean.
Tommy Lee Jones, though, he looks like a gorilla. Come on now.
Do you know what gorillas look like?
Yeah, have you seen Tommy Lee?
Yes, he does not look like a gorilla.
The bag's under his eyes, though.
That's not... No, gorillas are like thick and short and like...
Yeah, like Tommy Lee Jones.
He's not.
He's thick and short.
But not in a gorilla way, in like a humanoid way.
No, it was good. I did like it. There's some stuff where I was like, is that how science works?
Yeah, I don't think it... Like, I think they didn't mean to try and make it like... Yeah, very realistic in terms of like space travel.
They were trying to make it look very realistic, though.
I know, but I don't think they were trying to like say like because obviously it's like the future. They didn't try to explain how humans were able to travel to fucking like Jupiter, where they went in like 70 days or something. Cause that's kind of impossible.
I guess. I liked the world building. I liked how Moon had a food court on it.
Yeah, the moon was like a little mini mall. It was.
Yeah.
They had space pirates.
And what else do I like? Oh, I didn't like how Brad Pitt explained everything.
Yeah. It reminded me of that cut of Blade Runner where Harrison Ford
I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, was this added after because
same problem.
It wasn't coming across clear enough, but everything he said was like stuff I was already thinking. I was just like, why is he saying this?
For people who don't think that way, I suppose.
Yes, there are a lot of families in the audience when we saw it.
Really? I thought it was a lot of like just older couples, but not like old,
really?
like middle-aged couples. That's what I observed.
I saw like teens and like families and stuff, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, the teens were those kids that were wanting to go to Dora, but they were too late, so they just went to Ad Astra.
Did they want to go to Dora?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I watched The Nightingale as well.
Oh, I watched The Nightingale, yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I really did. It's spooky. It's a very depressing film. And it just makes you, like, as an Australian watching that, makes you reflect on, like, a lot, I suppose. And
Yeah.
you don't really get confronted a lot, which is kind of, I don't know, it's not a good thing, I suppose, like, about that side of our history, right?
Yeah.
And it's something, I guess, that should be taught more thoroughly in schools and stuff, but it's very confronting. There's parts in it that you just don't need to watch. I feel like if you just...
I was going to say, do you think it was a bit much?
It was gratuitous, yeah. Like
They-
in points,
I feel like
yeah.
they still could have made us unsettled without like showing
literally
certain things.
showing certain things, exactly, yeah.
Which they didn't like show things, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's just like, but it still just made you want to just like...
It was
yeah,
excess to the point where it's like, I guess you're feeling the character's pain.
exactly.
But yeah, it was good.
But what I liked is that you went into it like thinking it was going to be this like revenge film, but it like turned into something else.
Yeah.
Which
Well, at the start, I didn't
more
know.
meaningful and stuff.
I didn't know anything about it. So at the start, I was like, is this just a boring period historical drama based on like a true story? I was like, oh, it's a revenge thriller. Then
Yeah.
like, as it goes on, it kind of becomes less and less that.
But and more about what I was like pointing out before.
Yeah.
Which I like,
Because
honestly.
it reached a point where I was kind of like, oh, I don't want to see this just end in like a big Django Unchained
Yeah.
bloody kill fest.
Yeah.
But at the start, you're like, yeah, kill those guys.
Yeah.
But then at the point, you're like, then what? It's like, yeah.
After that point, I know what point I was like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, there's a point where the character learns it too.
Yeah, yeah.
Where she's kind of like, I don't know if I want to still do this.
Yeah.
Like, what good will it bring, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like she wouldn't be any better than them.
But then it kind of like ends with like, I don't know, it's like the fucking generational trauma that like the indigenous people like suffer from because of what the fucked up things that have
Yeah.
happened to them. It's like, it's horrible. It's so sad. Anyway.
Yeah. It's quite long too, but it wasn't too boring.
It didn't feel long to me, actually. Yeah, it like retrospect, yeah, it is a long film, but I was engaged for every minute of it.
Yeah.
I love
didn't
the
even... Oh,
horror.
sorry.
The nightmare sequences.
Yeah, those were good.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize Sam Claflin.
Really, I like literally instantly recognized.
Because I
him.
kept thinking he was someone else. I was like, that's not Nicholas Hoult. No, that's not Ed Skrein. That's...
Mike has face blindness confirmed.
Yeah, because he was channeling Ed Skrein vibes. You know Ed Skrein? From movies? I don't know. He always plays like that villain who's like, oh yeah, I'm a bit of a scumbag.
You,
Yeah.
love.
And that's what Sam Claflin was acting like.
And when usually in films he's the nice guy.
Yeah. That's why I didn't recognize him. I thought I've only seen him in the Hunger Games.
Really? You haven't seen
Yeah.
Love, Rosie?
No.
Oh, I asked you
already,
this.
yeah, we talked about this.
Anyway, it's a good film.
I watched Under the Silver Lake.
Nice. Sorry.
Nice.
I was expecting someone else to say something for some reason. Yeah. Anyway, no, I've been meaning to watch it, but I don't think I'll get around to it until a bit later because I'm a bit busy. But,
I was gonna buy it today, but I couldn't find it.
yeah.
Yeah.
You liked it.
I do. It's my favorite film of the year.
I love it.
And I don't even know if I can really explain why.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a neo-noir that it feels very inspired by other things, but at the same time it doesn't feel like a movie I've seen a million times. Yeah. I think if you like stuff like, I don't know, this is a weird comparison, The Big Lebowski, where it's kind of just like about this off, down his luck character that gets caught up in this weird plot that's like, I don't know, bigger than him, I guess.
Yeah, larger than life, I suppose.
But a lot of it's like him, he's like trying to find meaning in things that may not even have meaning. Like it's kind of a deconstruction of Hollywood as well, because it's set in LA.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he's
that's
like
the
trying to look
funny
for
thing.
meaning in media, and there's like all these weird little bits.
I remember hearing about this movie years ago.
Yeah, well, maybe not years ago, but like it was meant to come out last year.
Yeah. Well, I remember hearing about it like a couple years ago.
Okay, yeah, when like
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield was
Yeah.
working on it.
And I remember being very, very keen to watch it, but it just like didn't get released, and
It didn't get
Yeah.
good distribution anywhere. Even in the US, like it didn't come out until this year properly on VOD.
which sucks. But no, I definitely will get around to watching that one.
Yeah. And what else can I say? There's one scene in it that's like my favorite scene of the year so far. It's so funny and weird and bizarre. And like, I don't know. You'll just have to see. You'll probably know what scene I'm talking about once you see the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked it up afterwards because I'm like, that was a really funny scene. I don't know if it was meant to be like funny or if it was meant to be like unsettling, but I thought it was both things. And that's the one bit of the movie where Andrew Garfield's accent slips as well.
Oh, because he's meant to be American in the film?
Yeah.
Okay.
His American accent is like pretty good for all of it, except this one bit where he says songs.
Who's paying you to write these songs?
I watched Hobbs and Shaw, and it was not engaging at all.
Wasn't?
No, I didn't like it. It's fine.
I didn't. Yeah. Well, guys, from the trailers, I'm like, I know exactly what this is gonna be.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
gonna be bored by it, so I didn't
It
watch
was
it.
so like over the top, like it knew kind of what it was and cheesy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Let me just put this out there because I know Thomas will probably come for me for saying I didn't like this movie.
I forgot he liked it.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying it's not my thing. And I really liked all of Idris Elba, like fucking Akira, like fucking Bosasoku, fucking what are they called? Motorbike bits. But the characters were just kind of cringy. You have to admit.
That's what I've heard. Yeah,
the
like,
characters are very cringy.
I can just imagine the chemistry between The Rock and Jason Statham.
yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm a macho man. Oh, you didn't have your Wheaties for breakfast, did ya?
And
The
it's
Rock's like, oh, you kiss your you kiss your mother with that mouth.
And it's so weird because it's like The Rock and what's her name again? The girl from Mission Impossible.
I forget her
Fallout.
name.
The blonde British woman. The Rock and her are meant to have chemistry, and it's just not convincing the whole movie. You're just like, really? Like they just have like, I don't know. It's really weird. There's a bit where she's like reveals a part of like the plot that's meant to be like important, but it seems like a joke at the time, which is like, oh, I've got the
Probably was a
powers.
joke though.
But like no one laughed, and like it didn't.
But didn't you watch it at home?
Yeah. No, I mean like I don't know.
Or no one laughed in the movie.
Yeah. And like it didn't have like the beat of like it was meant to be a joke. Like everybody, like when it cut to the characters' reactions, they were like, oh, like they were like shocked. Like I don't know.
Maybe David Leitch is bad at comedy.
I don't know.
I know he did Deadpool too.
Because right after she says that, I'm pretty sure like the SWAT team. Oh yeah, Idris Elba like busts through the window like the SWAT team or whatever he is, like the FBI or something.
Does he say that line where he's like, I'm Black Superman?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, there you go. That's that movie.
I don't know if I'll ever watch it. I'll put it on
It's a
the
good background movie.
Yeah, when it's on Netflix.
I was like every like few like scenes where I was bored, I was pulling out my Nintendo Switch and just playing. So, yeah.
Okay, I watched the Lost City of
Zed.
Sorry.
Lost City of Zed.
That's what they call it in the film. It's directed by James Gray, who did Ad Astra, which is why I went and watched it, because I'm like, oh yeah. That was also a good background movie, because it's like, it feels like a movie that would have been made like 57 years ago.
It's a
Where
long
like,
movie, isn't it?
It's long, and it takes its time with everything. Like, it's a very like,
Methodical.
it's structured like a book, I guess, like one of those like old novels you read where
It
it's
is
like,
a book. Isn't
yeah, I
it?
think so.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it would be split up into like chapters kind of thing.
Yeah, like parts and like periods of
Yeah,
like
pretty
this
much.
character's
And it's
life.
like perfectly linear as well. It's like this part of his life, this part. And yeah, I think it's based on a true story. I'm sure they changed bits of it. But yeah, it was
story.
good. Like the whole thing, like I was like, yeah, this is good, but it's not like nothing blew me away about it. Like Charlie Hunnam is the
Hunnam.
lead. Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam. He was okay. I think if it had a better lead, I would have been more engaged constantly.
God.
I just don't like Charlie Hunnam that much. Like in everything he's in, I'm like, he's like, if they mashed Chris Hemsworth and Channing Tatum together and it cancelled out their chemistry.
Cancelled out their
Yeah.
chemistry. Oof.
But I don't know. He fit the character he had to play, I guess. Tom Holland was in it. He played the son in the later parts of the movie.
Yeah, he played. They
He was
just
good.
filmed it like Boyhood. Where
Yeah, imagine. But no, he did a good cry and yell as he does, and he gets slapped by his father at one part.
they get killed by Amazonians.
No, that would be a spoiler if I said that, but no.
Okay.
It's actually no, it's left kind of ambiguous, but I won't get into that. Yeah, it actually has kind of thematic parallels to Ad Astra.
Really?
Where
Well,
it's
like father-son
where it's
relationship.
like, yeah, father-son,
Yeah.
father that's so destined to
Achieve this great
achieve this
thing.
goal and find
Discovery.
the unknown that you
Yeah.
don't know, and the son is kind of like, Dad, you left me.
Yeah.
You've never been here for me. But then it reaches a point where the
you know
son is
what's-
like, I want to do what my dad did.
Yeah. You know what is so funny about that? You saying that makes me want to go out and watch it right now. Because
Okay.
before I just thought it was this guy that really wanted to find the Lost City of ZED or
Yeah.
whatever. And I was like, oh,
It is for like the
God.
first half, and I was like, this is exactly the movie I thought it was. And then
Yeah.
he goes home at one point, and then his kids are like a bit older, and they're like, Actually, no, most of the other kids are fine. It's just Tom Holland's character is like,
Is he the oldest child?
yeah.
That's why.
And he's like,
Because
really-
he has to look after the siblings.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no, the mum's home too.
But like being the eldest, like if he's not looking after siblings, he probably has to go and work because dad's not home. Like,
Probably,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's the kind of like, especially back in the day when that was set, you'd just be like the oldest. You're the man of the house now. Fucking dad's not
Yeah.
home. Fuck you, dad.
And
Anyway.
the wife character was pretty good. Like,
She a famous actress or?
I can't remember. I didn't recognize her, but she probably is. Because, yeah, she
just
wasn't like the
quite a
typical, like, oh, lovey-dovey, you go off to war, husband, and do your thing. She was kind of like, yeah, determined and an assertive
Her
character,
own,
I
like,
guess.
yeah.
And she's like, I want to go too. But he was like, no, you're a woman. We've got men and women since the beginning of time have had their gender roles or whatever. And you're like, oof, Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah, it wasn't even like that scripted. That's just like,
Yeah, he's just letting out his little
yeah.
what do you
his
call
little
it?
dick.
His little dick.
Yeah.
I watched this movie called. Actually, no. I'll talk about High Life first. That had Robert Pattinson in it, which he was in he was in Lost City of ZED.
Isn't High
as
Life
well.
another movie about like children and
No, not really.
parents and
No,
space?
it's about space. Oh yeah, you're right. He has like a daughter in it.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. Yeah.
It's not as much about that. It's more about, you know, those like social experiment movies where they put like a bunch of like
Sanford Prison.
yeah, like Sanford
Experiment.
Prison Experiment where they put all these like
People in one place.
yeah, these flawed characters together, and it's like, see what happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of that, but in space. Because it's like they send these convicts on pretty much like a suicide mission to a black hole to get like information.
What the fuck? Why would they send a kid?
They don't. The kid, they yeah.
Kid
this,
happens
it's
on
this
the
whole
way.
thing, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where like this, it's the woman from I think it's the Three Colors trilogy. You know those movies.
What
Oh,
movies?
Oh, don't worry. It's like they're like famous French movies, but she's in it, and she's like obsessed with like, I don't know, trying to genetically make babies happen or something. And she's like taking semen samples from all the guys on the crew.
That's
It's like,
fucking weird.
it is weird. And there's like a sex room where all the characters go to like just pretty much get railed by a fucking large metal dildo.
What?
Yeah.
Why did they put that on the spaceship when they
'Cause
sent off these convicts? They put in a.
To relieve them. They probably so they don't rape each other probably. But you know, maybe that's not as successful.
I'm leaving. I'm kidding.
But it's directed by Claire Denis. She's a famous French director.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's made films, I believe.
Sitting on like a hill and it's like really uncomfortable. Like I can't sit. Like my legs are really dead.
But yeah, I recommend High Life. It's not one of my favorite movies of the year, but it's still like I think it's worth watching.
Okay.
Like it's one of those things where you watch it and it's either like, yeah, fuck, I love this, or you're like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
I wouldn't say that. I think it's unique and interesting enough. And it probably has the most realistic depiction of a black hole in a movie. And I think this actually was like finished before like those images of the black hole came out this year.
Really?
Because remember how they released those like the first image of the black hole?
Yeah, and it was just like.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it looked like in this. It was like an orange ring, bending light around it. But yeah,
They all die.
who dies?
All of them.
I mean, you'd have to see about that. Last movie I watched was a movie called Spring. It's a movie our friend Edwin always recommends to me, and I was like, I'll finally watch this, and it was pretty good. It's like, I wouldn't think it's everyone's cup of tea, but it's like
It's Edwin's cup of tea.
it's Edwin's cup of tea. But it's like Richard Linklater meets what's his name? H.P. Lovecraft.
I think I say H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells.
The
No, it's
fuck?
like
H.P. Lovecraft. Oh, so it's like a
Yeah.
sci-fi.
kind of because it's like this guy, his mother dies, so he
Yeah.
goes off to like Europe and like find himself, and he meets
Yeah.
a girl. But
It's
then the girl
Eat,
turns
Pray,
out to
Love.
be, something. and at first you're not really sure. But yeah.
Something. Is she like a fucking
Well,
mermaid or?
like H.P. Lovecraft, I think, like one of those kind of like
yeah.
characters, creatures.
Creatures.
But yeah, I guess that's a spoiler, but whatever.
Spring by. Who is it by? Okay.
I forget the names of the directors. They're like two guys.
Is it a foreign film?
I don't think so. I think it's American.
Okay. Well, I
But
want to watch
it's like
that.
super indie.
Spring.
And yeah, it hits a point where I thought it would be like, from here on out, it's a different genre now.
Yeah.
But it kind of keeps the kind of romancy Linklater thing going. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's about it for movies, I think. Oh, did I watch any shows? No, not really. I watched a couple episodes of this Netflix show called The Characters because Tim Robinson did an episode on it. And I was like, I like him. And then I watched another episode, and then I didn't want to watch the rest because it wasn't very good.
We watched Spider-Man 3.
Oh yeah, but that's his commentary track.
Yeah.
You'll hear all about that soon. I think that's all we watched, right? We watched Harry Potter last night, the first one.
Oh yeah. The
It's
Sorcerer's Stone.
Yeah.
Not the Philosopher's Stone.
Philosopher's Stone.
I don't know if I watched anything else. Oh, for God's sake.
That's alright. Comic segment. Spidey recap of the week. It's the comics that we read. Week to week, 2 of them. I did one, Sammy did the other one. Here it is.
Okay. The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 19.
We've gone back.
Issue 97, released in 1963. What? How is that possible?
It's not, no, you
Oh no! Wait.
have to look at my description.
Released in June 1971. In the Grip of the Goblin is what this one is called, and it's happening again. As we saw last issue, Norman Osborn, the wealthy chemical manufacturer who just gave Peter Parker a part-time job, has reverted back to his deadly demonic identity as the Green Goblin. And as he and Spider-Man meet once more, it's the Goblin who lands the first blow. Thrill to all the action, drama, and suspense that have made Spidey the world's most popular comic book character. It has a little bit there. So, like, the insert cover page is like Goblin fucking gassing Spider-Man. It just continues on from that. So they're having a bit of a fight. So it must continue on from issue 96. Spidey thwips Green Goblin's glider and he falls to the ground. And Goblin's like, he looking at him like he wants to fuck, kind of like.
What the fuck? Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's sitting how I'm sitting.
Yeah, but he's like, oh, it's so creepy. He's like, so you're tempting me to destroy you at once, eh? Which is kind of like why I kind of thought that's a bit creepy. And he's like, this little pumpkin should afford us some amusement once I remove its little butt plug. He doesn't say butt plug.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about?
He says head plug, but I wanted to say butt plug.
Of course he did.
So he's like, it's an explosive. It'll get you too. And then Spidey's like, what's happening? I see lots of goblins now. And like multiple goblins have like appeared around him. And it must be like messing with your head gas inside the...
Is that what it's called?
Messing with your head gas, yeah. Inside the bomb. So he's like, everything's spinning around. That vapor, it's a gas. I should have held my breath. And Goblin hits him with the right hook. And he's like, you should have known Goblin would never use anything as crude as explosives when I have hallucinogenic gas. So he's like, but this room is cramping my style, so I'll wait for you outside. What the fuck? Why would he just go outside and be like, I'll wait for you outside?
I don't know.
Hold on, I'm just itchy. So is my hand. You might hear some weird audio of me itching my hand. So, Spidey comes out and he's like, I have to go after him. And he knows it. Of all the enemies I've ever sought, he's the only one who knows my true identity. Maybe I can take him by surprise by coming at him from above along the wall. So he like kind of climbs up around the wall ninja style. But he gets hit by, it looks like a batarang, but it's the Green Goblin version of a batarang, really.
I see. Is it like the ones he has in the movies? Wait, which panel is it?
The middle, the big one.
Oh, you can't even see what he threw.
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, you can, sorry.
It is
It's
it's
just like a batarang.
Yeah.
The ones in the movies are his pumpkin bombs, but they got like...
Yeah, that's right.
Hate those things.
Fool, you reckoned without my goblin boomerang. what? I don't know how that makes sense. That's only the beginning. Don't keep me waiting. There's lots more. So basically, Goblin's being a bit of a dick. Like, come for me so I can just bash you up. And Spidey's doing what's this pose in yoga where you're like on flat on the ground? It's like cobra pose. Yeah, it's cobra pose. He's doing the cobra pose, and he's like
reverse downward dog.
Yeah, when you're not, you're like up. Like your legs are down, but your torso's up. Instead of your torso being down, your legs up. Your butt up. Yeah, your butt's down. So he's like, Spidey's like, he's fought me so often in the past, he can almost anticipate. Oh, I nearly pressed the record button. Whoops. Is it still recording? Okay. He's fought me so often, he can almost anticipate my every move, but I've got to keep after him. It's like the Joker and the Batman, but Green Goblin and Spider-Man, where how like they just know each other so well, their fighting styles.
You and I are not so different.
Yeah, pretty much. So Spidey's like, he's taunting me, yada, yada, yada. So he still goes after him. They have a bit more of a fight. You know, Spidey does his acrobatic shit, just fucking flexing on him. He tries to steal his glider away again, but it doesn't really work out this time. Green Goblin throws some bombs at him. And Spidey just starts falling. He thwips around the building. He gets up and he kind of takes Goblin by surprise by like thwipping around the building and like kind of like descending from behind him, and he gets him into a headlock with his thighs, which there you go.
That's his signature move.
It is his signature move.
He's done that many times.
Many times, and he will many more. So yeah, that's what he does. He rides him like a pony, but he starts to feel a bit woozy again, because it's like, you know, that hallucinogenic gas. He's like, I can't see. It's like a million pinwheels dancing in my brain. This time you've had it. So he falls off. His like, you know, riding on Green Goblin, he comes off. He starts falling down, but he lands on a ledge, which stops his fall on a building. And Green Goblin fucks off, and Spidey's like, oh, he's too far away, I can't reach him with my webbing, so I better just like, you know, leave it for next time. So he's back into his civvies, he's getting changed, and Peter's like, when Gwen lost her father, she blamed Spider-Man for his death. Gwen, who means the world to me, and now I have to silence the father of my best and closest friend. But what if something happens to him? Something fatal? Must I always bring tragedy to those I love the most? Ever since I got my spider power, I wanted to use it for good. I've tried to use it for good, but something always goes wrong. Yada, yada, yada. Fucking Peter Parker was sucking. And then he sees Gwen's face all around him. Nuts. I've got to stop thinking like a loser. Always feeling sorry for myself. I've had battles all my life and won them all, so I'm not going to quit now. So he's kind of he's like, was having his regular Peter Parker down moment, but he's actually like feeling a bit more optimistic instead of like giving in to like that feeling. So you can see that he's improving a bit as a human being, I guess. So he comes home to his apartment with Harry, and he's like, so long as the Goblin thinks I'm dead, he won't bother trying to reveal my identity. Oh, the Goblin thinks he's dead? All right. So that wasn't mentioned before. So if I keep out of his sight, I'll be okay for a while. So he starts brushing his teeth in the mirror, and Harry shows up behind him. He's like, oh, hey, there's Harry. So Harry's like, hey, how's the great American lover? So he's sweating, and he looks like he's not in a very good shape. And Peter's like, oh, he looks a bit sore. He must be angry about MJ flirting with me, if you remember that from last issue. So Harry's like, you're a real pal, playing up to Mary Jane that way. And Pete's like, hey, come off it, man. What did I do? She was flirting with me. He's like, nothing. You didn't do a single thing except for forgetting that she was supposed to be my date. Or maybe you didn't know. Pete's like, look, Harry, you're making a mountain out of a molehill. Mary Jane and I mean nothing to each other, and you know it. Yeah, sure. Harry's like, yeah, somebody ought to tell her. Pete says, if you ask me, she was just trying to make you jealous. And Harry's like, let it lay. I'm sick of talking about it. And Pete's like expresses concern for Harry because he seems a bit like wobbly and woozy. He's not really on his two legs. And Harry's like, I'm all right. I just need something for my headache and to make me fall asleep. And he fucking grabs like a bottle of pills and takes like 6, it looks like.
6.
Or 4. And there must be...
See. Oh yeah, he like just throws a whole bunch.
Yeah, he throws just a handful, and Pete's like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, since when did you become a pill popper?" And Harry's like, "You don't like it?"
Because of that guy that tried. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Sell them to Peter. He's like, "Hey, give these to Harry for me," and he's like, "No." He beat them all up.
Yeah, exactly. Nah. So Harry got them anyway. So he's like, "You don't like it, Pete? That's real tough." And wow, fucking Peter looks really jacked. If you can see that, he's just got his shirt off
Still
casually.
has no nipples.
No.
When are they gonna do that?
Male presenting nipples are crude, Mike. So, Peter's like, look, Harry, you're all worked up over nothing. If it's Mary Jane you're worried about. And Harry's like, worried? Who's worried? Get lost. Well, yeah, when I need a chaplain, I'll let you know. And he collapses on the bed. And he's like, what? He's out like a light. Now that I think of it, he's always had a bottle of medicine in his chest. Pills to keep him up, pills to relax him and put him to sleep. That's the trouble with those blasted things. A guy like Harry gets to depend on them. Well, I better let him sleep it off. He just leaves him. He doesn't check if he's like fainted or like needs to go to the hospital. He's just like, fine. Anyway, so Pete just starts thinking about himself again on his bed and he's like worrying about everything. So the next morning, they're all at university. MJ's like, hi, heroes, to, Harry and Pete. And Pete's like, hey, look, cheer up, man. It's Mary Jane. Here's your chance to patch things up with her. And Harry, being the little bitch he is like, yeah, well, that depends on her, really. Whatever. And MJ immediately attaches herself to Peter, of course, because nothing can be simple. And she says, I dig those chains you're sporting, Pete. Where'd you find them? And Pete just looks at her like, I got them from Gwen. He looks like really angry. Ooh. And then he like gives her a little bit of a finger wagging at MJ. He says, look, lady, you know how Harry feels about you. So what's the bit? She's like, it's a long story. You want to hear it? Then as Peter vainly tries to break away, somebody comes up to Harry. He's like, hey, Osborn, wait up a minute. I saw the whole thing, pal. That chick's giving you a real bum deal. And Harry's like, so what, bitch? Nah, so what? Who asked you to butt in? And this guy's like, he's got like a blonde hair but a dark mustache. He kind of looks like the Pringles guy, but without like a monocle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's...
over there having a bed, like a blanket and stuff. They look very comfortable.
Nice.
Anyway.
I'm not very comfortable. My legs keeps... My leg keeps getting dead.
Yeah, same. That's why I had to move this.
It's because we're sitting on a hill and like gravity like...
Falling us down.
Yeah.
George Clooney and Sandra Bullock.
What?
Gravity.
Oh, gravity. What am I up to? Oh yeah, this guy's like, hey, you want to buy some drugs, basically.
You want to buy some drugs, basically?
Yeah. Yeah, I got something for you that'll make you forget about... Is it? I don't know what he looks like. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's got something that'll make you forget all about that chick. Something that'll make you feel like you're king of the world. So Harry's like, oh, he sees a bottle of pills. He's like, oh, give it to me. And the guy's like pulls it away. He's like, this stuff is real new and it ain't easy to come by. But for a guy who can use them like you, he's like, let me see. I want to see them. He's like, don't take my word for it, Osborn. Just try a few and nothing's going to bother you. He's like, it'll be worth anything to get her out of my mind. He sees like MJ's face all around him and he looks like really woozy, like he's about to faint again.
Oh, Harry.
Yeah. And he's like, sure, kid. Yeah, so I got the stuff from the doc. Oh, this is just what the doctor ordered for you, Harry. Just take some. So he goes, okay, fine. And he grabs it. It's like a little panel there. And he's like, nice doing business with you, Osborn. See you again. He's like, Harry's feeling really ashamed of himself. He's like, this is the first and last time I'm going to do this. I'm not going to get hooked. And the guy's like, yeah, that's what they all say. Very sad.
It is what they all say.
Yeah. Until they overdose and die. Lol. That's very sad. So meanwhile, Pete's just running around. He's like, nuts, I can't find Harry anywhere. But he's probably more shook up than ever after that little performance of Mary Jane's. Peter's a good friend. He's like trying to look out for Harry. And he's like, well, I'll have to worry about that later. Wow, I ate my words there. He's like, right now I've got something else to do. So he gets into his Spidey costume. He's like, this morning's papers announced a mysterious wave of assaults and hijackings, yada, yada, yada. And he's trying to find the Green Goblin again. So he's swinging around the city, just looking for some trouble, basically. So he goes to his hideout before nightfall because that's when all the crime happens. But it doesn't look like he's been... What? Where is he? Oh, he goes to Osborn's office to try and find him. That's what he's doing. So yeah, he's not there. And so Pete's like, it'll just be easy for me to ask his secretary. So he gets back into his civvies and asks the secretary. So he's like, I'd like to report to Mr. Osborn. She's like, I'm sorry, Parker, he isn't in. Nobody's heard from him since Sunday. And she's like, wait, do you have any messages for him? And he's like, no, don't bother telling him I was here. Later, towards the end of the day, Harry catches up with MJ. He's like, Mary Jane, hold it. She's like, what do you want? And he's like,
She's like, it's Mary Jane Watson, thank you.
yeah. And he's like, I forgive you, MJ. She's like, you decided to forgive me? He's like, that's right. It's a great day. I feel zingy. She's like, you're still my... He asks her if you're still my girl, right? She's like, wrong, man. You've always been good for a few laughs, Harry, but don't let it get to your head. I'm nobody's girl, but my own, and that's the way I like it. See you around, Curly. Oh, she calls him Curly. He must have curly hair then.
Well, he does, yeah.
Look at that duck.
The duck. They can't see it on the film or record him.
Yeah. There's a bunch of ducks down there too. They're all very cute.
It's on selfie mode. I didn't realize my hair looked like that. Look, it's duck. More duck. Oh shit, I'm not filming in landscape. Duck.
Duck, duck, goose. Anyway, so MJ gives Harry that bombshell, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna sneeze. I yawned instead. She gave it to me straight. I don't mean a thing to her, but it was different before Parker broke up with Gwen, if not for him. So he goes home to look for a fucking fight with Peter. He's like, he sees her there. Peter's just studying. He's like, I guess you're satisfied now. He's like, well, what do you mean, Harry? He's like, you know what I mean. Mary Jane gave me the gate on account of you. And Pete's like, you're way off base, mister, and I'm getting tired of your whipping boy. Being your whipping boy. I got my own troubles. If you can't hold on to a girl, don't blame me. Oh, Harry, I didn't mean that. And Harry's like, who cares what you mean? I've had it with you. You're so hit the road, smart guy. You're moving out. And Pete's like, oh, no. Fuck, like looking really shook. He's like realizing that Harry's not himself. He's never seen him this way before. And there's like sudden highs and lows. He's becoming irrational, like all the signs of a drug addicted person. And Harry's like, no, it's not how I want it. It won't help you. It won't help if you move out. That won't get her back. I don't know what I want, Pete. I've never felt this way. And he starts breaking down crying. Pete's like just looking at him with derpy eyes. Like, look at that. Looks like a fish. He's like, look, Harry, why not forget MJ for a while and think of yourself? Let me call Dr. Bromwell for you. But you look so sick to me. He's like, no, I don't want a doctor. I'll be okay. I'm just tired. I've been studying too hard. That's all. He's like, then I'll take off for a while. You go and get some rest by yourself. And Harry's like, he's leaving at last. Now, as soon as I can hear the door close, I can overdose. He doesn't say that, but that's what he does. He goes to the medicine cabinet and pops a bunch of pills, and he goes to lie down. So, yeah, he's pretty much going to OD, guys. And as the minutes tick by, Spidey's swinging around. He was a fool to go to Osborn's office. If his secretary tells him I was there, that'll sink it. There'll be nothing to stop him from revealing my secret identity, except one possible ace in the hole. He knows that I can also tell the world who the Goblin really is, which makes it a standoff. But I mustn't forget the Goblin is mad. I can't expect him to reason like somebody rational. But though he covers the city with dazzling speed hour after hour, it's no use. There's no trace of him. It'll be dawn soon, so he'd better get back. He gets back into his civvies. He's like, Harry shows to be asleep by now. Don't want him to know I was out all night. But Peter Parker is the very last thing on Harry Osborn's mind because he's having a fucking drug overdose. And look at this fucking panel. Jesus Christ, it's terrifying.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's like, Are
they all Harry?
Yeah, he's like, I've never felt this way before. It's like I'm drowning, falling, dying inside. Nothing seems real. Nothing hangs together. The pills, it must be the pills. They're driving me out of my mind. And Pete walks in. He's like, Harry. And Harry's like passed out on the fucking bed. Like, something's wrong with him. Something happened. I shouldn't have gone and left him alone. So he's like trying to snap Harry out of it. He's about to call the doc. And all of a sudden he hears laughter outside the window. It sounds like the Goblin, and it is. Next issue, the Goblin's power.
Nice.
Pass the torch over.
Pass the torch. This one's called The Goblin's Power. It's issue 98, released in July of 1972.
1972.
And
like a confused dog.
But this one starts out, Green Goblin's like, you didn't think I'd find you, did you, Parker? You expect the Green Goblin to let Spider-Man live? And Peter's like, it's the Goblin, but I can't fight him now while Harry's desperately ill. And Green Goblin's like, yeah, let's fucking fight. And he does a double dab through the fucking window. I'll show you. Look, he does a double dab.
He goes,
And he's like, the time has come for us to settle things forever.
double dab.
Oh yeah, that is what he's doing, kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, I won't even have to soil my hands on you. Poor choice of words.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, Peter's holding Harry in his arms, and he's like, we'll worry about that later. First, I've got something to show you. And Goblin's like, no tricks, Parker. Peter's like, this isn't a trick. Because he's like, I've got to show him his son, like, make him aware that, like, you know, Harry is, kind of gone sick and stuff.
Sicko mode, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, if it doesn't work, I'm a goner, because, like, I'm standing here like a living target for him. But he's slowing down, he's hesitating. So Green Goblin's like, that boy in your arms, I know him. But no, I won't be reminded, I don't want to remember. And then, Green Goblin, he's like starting to get a bit of flashbacks, and he's like, nah, fuck this, and he flees. He's like, I can't remain, not while he is there, but I'll be back sooner or later. Parker must die.
Oh, God.
And we see Harry's like, he's ODing pretty much.
Yeah.
So Peter calls the hospital, and they arrive. They take Harry off to the hospital. And he's like, as far as I know, that was his only trip. I just hope they got him in time. He might have never gotten into that scene if it weren't for the way Mary Jane treated him. So it's like, oof.
Big oof.
Mary Jane's a bit rough, isn't she?
She is. She's very, very matter of the fact about everything.
Yeah. And he's like, I guess he was just too weak to cope with rejection. It's funny how loving a girl can drive a guy bananas.
Bananas.
And I guess none of us are escape-proof. And now he's starting to think about Gwen. His face looks weird here. He looks like Asa Butterfield. Yeah.
Yeah, he does actually look like Asa Butterfield.
Yeah, he's like, no matter how hard I try, I can't get Gwendy out of my mind. He said that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like,
Gwendy
I can't stop thinking of her across the ocean in London. So she's still in London.
Brandon.
And yeah, he's like, I can't stop wondering if she's thinking of me. Then as this is happening, we see Gwen, and she's like, I can't forget him. I thought being an ocean away would give me a new outlook, but it doesn't matter. I still miss Peter so much.
Aw, sweetie.
And we see her, she's like, Uncle Arthur and Aunt Nancy, you've been wonderful to me. They've tried to make me feel as though this is my own home, but it's not the same as when Dad was alive. And now I'm alone. No place can feel like home to me if Peter isn't in the picture.
Aww.
So she's like, I have to get out. I have to walk, think, clear away some cobwebs somehow.
Yeah.
She goes on a little walk. And yeah, starts crying. She's like, I let my grief and my hatred for Spider-Man affect the way I feel about poor Peter. But maybe it's not too late to set things right again. Now you see Peter, he's walking out from college, I think, and they're like, yes, it's not important. But, sorry, the guy we met, the drug dealer, that must have been the first time we met him.
Oh, okay.
But I read this first, so I was like, yeah, that guy from last week.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, but it was this week.
It was actually this week,
Yeah. He's like, hey man, I want to talk to you. And Peter's like, sure, it's a free country. And he's like, that's what I like, a guy with a sense of humor. I've been waiting for your pal Harry Osborn. Where is he? And Peter's like, yeah, I know. He's like, yeah, tell him I got something for him. And he picks up like the little bottle of pills.
Oh no.
And he's like, but it can't wait forever. And Peter's like, you're the creep who sold him the pills, huh? My hair.
Flick it out of the way, Peter Parker style and Spider-Man.
It's not doing it. And the guy's like, wow, the little curly-haired good Nick is looking for trouble, is he? Well, let's see if I can oblige you, sonny. And he whistles and gets his gang out. There's like a hippie-looking dude and a black guy with a fro. He's like, what's the matter, top man? This punk been bugging you? And they're like, yeah, let's show him how we handle the heroes around here. And Peter's like, 3 against 1, huh? You guys are real reckless.
Reckless.
He probably just beats them up, Peter Parker does. Because they grab him, because they're like, let's teach this guy not to talk back to us. But Peter just like, he throws them everywhere. And it makes more sense in context with the comic you just read. Because when I was reading this, I'm like, why is he just beating up these guys?
Yeah.
But no, because Harry OD'd because of them, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he pulls out a gun. He's like, I call it your swan song, smart guy.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
All that karate jazz ain't gonna help you now.
All that karate jazz. All that karate jazz.
Peter smacks the gun out of his hand. And the guy's like, it ain't possible. No one can move so fast. And he keeps dodging the guy's bullets. Peter does. Not bullets, the punches. And then Peter's like, alright, I've got to hold my punch, but I've got to sock him in the face hard enough so he's not a problem anymore. So he backhands him. He slaps him real good.
He does, yeah.
And I can't see.
Oh no. You need a headband, dude.
I do. Hang on.
Oh yeah, there we go. Headband. Yay!
Make it fashion.
Da,
No,
da,
Peter
da,
backslaps
da.
this guy and yeah, he knocks him out pretty cold. He's like, before you go, sleepy bye-bye.
Sleepy bye-bye.
Remember one thing, and remember it good. If I ever see you pushing that stuff anywhere again, you'll think that this was just a playful picnic. And he leaves all these guys, like, bodies just lying in the alleyway.
Oh my god, that reminds me of Spider-Man PS4 game.
Yeah, so they don't disappear. Well, my hair looks so weird. Yeah, then he starts looking down the streets. He's like, yeah, sure. And the Daily Bugle, we see Robbie and Jameson. And yeah, they're having a bit of an argument. And Robbie's like, what's wrong, Joni? You sound upset. He's like, so what? I'm always upset. It's this item. Osborn's kid in the hospital. I don't like it, Robbie.
I don't like it.
And Robbie's like, nobody likes it. Drugs are a bad scene. He's like, yeah, I'll tell you a worse one. The kid's father is one of the biggest advertisers, and he's not going to like us printing this story. And Robbie's like, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear you say that, Jonah. You've never squashed a story before just because you thought you'd lose some ads. And Jameson's like, yeah, just calm down, all right? I'm just trying to, bring up an option. I'm trying to talk. And he's like, oh, so what angle would you use if you did run the story, And Robbie's like, yeah, I've got it figured out. I'm showing that drugs aren't just a ghetto hang-up. They hit the rich the same as they do with the poor. It's everyone's problem. We've all got to face it. And then Jameson's like, all right. He kind of caves in with Robbie. Because Robbie's like, I know what I'm talking about. It's not all about the ads, Jameson. Now then we see Peter. And he's walking down the street. And, yeah, he's like, I've got to turn into Parker while the Goblin's still out and about on the prowl,
On the prowl, if you get what I mean.
And yeah, he's like, oh yeah, the fact that he knows who I am gives him the edge over me. And I can count on him using it any chance he gets. So he's like, yeah, I better start swinging around and try and find him. Gotta face him,
Guess you could say he's a swinger.
Yeah, and he starts moping about stuff as he's swinging. Then eventually, something blasts him, and he's like, oh shit, it's the Goblin. And Goblin comes and he's like, I hoped you'd be a fool enough to show yourself again. This time, only one of us will leave the fight alive.
Oh god,
And he starts firing blasts at Spider-Man, and he keeps dodging.
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, so Goblin's like, I've got all the time in the world. But Peter's like, I don't. I've got to think of a battle plan. But what is it? How can I subdue the Goblin without harming him? And even if I defeat him, how do I stop him from revealing my secret identity? Only death can seal his lips forever.
Oh god, Jesus. Only death.
So they start
can seal these lips
getting into a
forever.
tussle. Spidey hits the big dab.
He hits the wall.
It's the big dab.
He does too, wow.
And Green Goblin sprays some mist at him, which makes Spidey lose his stick. I don't know how that works.
Lose his what?
Stick, like when he sticks to the walls.
Oh, he's not sticky.
Yeah. He tries to grab him to the wall, and he's like, Yeet. He like slides down.
Do you ever do this when you have a lip balm?
Yeah, and then you eat it. Have you seen that a photo where it's like a girl put like cheddar cheese
In
into
her
lip
lip
balm
balm?
so she can eat it in class?
That's funny.
They keep fighting,
Oh,
Oh, it stopped.
there we go. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool because Spidey doesn't have his stick anymore. So
He's not sticky.
yeah, so he's jumping and leaping like just using like his own
Yeah.
acrobatics and stuff. Which means he probably doesn't have his webs either. Like, I think it cancelled out his webs too.
Do you think it, like, when he sticks, he needs to, like, use any sort of, like physical, like, he has to use his muscles to stick?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd just be, like,
Yeah,
hanging.
true, yeah. That's true, yeah.
It's
if
just,
you
it
were
would be
still
like just
stuck.
rock climbing, but
Yeah, but you don't
can
have
grip.
to, yeah, exactly, that's true.
I thought that was my car driving away for a second. I was like, but then my car wasn't here anyway. I just realized. So.
Oh, you're silly.
And then Spider-Man, he does the same move he did in the last one, where he gets Goblin in like a leg lock.
Yeah. He does it to him again, and Goblin still falls for it.
Yeah, and he's like, I've got you just where I want you to be. Remember the fable of the old man in the sea? You're living it now.
What?
Because just like in the story, you'll never break my hold.
You know, nobody gonna break him off.
One thing shook him up before, and I've got to try it again. And he's pretty much like guiding Goblin back, like, to Harry's apartment. Oh no, he's actually no, to the hospital. Sorry, because he's in the hospital now.
Like, he's like riding him there.
Yeah.
Like a horse.
He's like, follow my lead, Gobby. I'm steering you.
What the fuck? That's weird.
And he's like, sorry, old paint. You've got nothing to say about it. You just made one big mistake with that secret weapon of yours. When you designed it to take away my sticking power, you shouldn't have left with my strength, because it is much worse. At least I wash my feet. What?
What? I guess because his feet right in front of his face. At least I wash my feet. Like, you know what I mean?
But yeah, he's looking in Harry's room, and we see Green Goblin. He's like, Harry, my son? What is it? What's wrong? It's your father. Don't you know me, Harry? Say something. Nothing must happen to my boy. And he starts crying. And, oh, you can't see it.
Too bad,
He's
too
crying.
sad, Gobby.
And, yeah, all this trauma makes Green Goblin pass out. He's like, Harry, my boy.
He passes out.
Yeah. And Peter's like, he fainted. It's over at last. It's more than I ever hoped for. The sight of
Oh my
Harry so
God.
ill shocked him back to normal again. And when he's normal, he remembers nothing about the Green Goblin or Spidey's real identity. There, I burned his costume and got him home safely again. And when he awakens, he'll think it was a bad dream, if he remembers at all. Then Peter's like, my identity is safe for once. Oh, so safe once more, at least for a while. Now all that remains is hope that poor Harry will soon be all right, and to hope that he's learnt. What? And to hope that he's learned you can't solve your problems with pills. Then he's like,
I'll be the judge of that.
but for me, I'm back where I started. Everything's down in the dumps. Oh, I'm so lonely without Gwen. Wait, what is going on? Suddenly, what I'm imagining, I can hear her voice. Her voice calling me.
I know what's
and
gonna
we see,
happen.
Peter, I'm back. I had to return. Peter's like, it's you. Is it you, Gwendy? And they run towards each other like a romance.
Romance for movie, yeah.
And he's like, I can't believe it. It's like a dream, a miracle. And Gwen's like, it's true, Peter. I couldn't stay away. And the last panel is them having a little smooch.
And that's it.
Yep. And it says, who says we never give Spidey a happy ending? Stanley's been listening to our podcast.
Yeah, he has been. Because the next issue...
Yeah, also, why is Gwen just, like, walking down a random alleyway? It's a bit convenient.
like everything in these
Yeah.
comics is a bit convenient.
Yeah, you want this back?
Thank you.
Quentin back.
What?
Quentin back.
I don't understand the reference. Anyway, where are we? Let's go to issue 99, Friends and Family. Issue 99, released on August 10th, 1971. So this one also may just end on a nice little note, but we'll see about that. So it's Panic in the Prison, obviously inspired by Panic at the Disco. And this is one that you don't dare miss, also featuring Spidey on the television, Day in the Life of Spidey. Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy have found each other again, and as far as they're concerned, no one else exists in the entire world. Hey, happy Gwendy, can't you tell, man of mine? I feel like I'm floating, not even touching the ground. You know, honey, a gal like you can be a bit habit-forming. Are you trying to tell me something, Mr. Parker? You know it, lady, and you also know what I'm trying to ask. What I want to know is how you will feel after I ask it. What do you think? Oh, I think you talk too much, because he kisses her.
Oh, I think it talks.
Since it's not so polite to look in on such personal stuff, and since this really isn't a love story mag, let's skip ahead to a few minutes where we find, I'll pick you up tonight, Gwendy. I'll be counting the seconds, she says. So they depart, and he's like, okay, Parker, you're finally getting your personal life together, and this time you're not going to blow it. But the first thing I got to do before I pop the question is make sure I can support a wife, and that means a job. I can't go back to Mr. Osborn because I'm afraid to risk his turning into a goblin again. So it looks like I've got to head for the Daily Bugle now. So he heads there and he's thinking, well, I've modified my secret little Spidey camera, turned it into a real sub mini, and I've been anxious to give it a try out. So he sees Robbie. He's like, hey, Mr. Robertson, can I talk to you for a minute? He's like, those dulcet bells, like tones, they can only belong to, hey, Peter Parker, been looking for you, son. There's a job waiting for you. And he's like, there is. He's got the biggest fucking cheesy grin. And Robbie opens the door to Jameson's office. He's like, let me check it out with Jameson. So they walk in. And he says, is that prison assignment still up for grabs, JJ? And JJ's on the phone. He's like, yeah, all our top cameramen are either sick or in the field. I'm trying to get a hold of a good freelancer now, but save your dime, Jono. Your worries are over. Peter Parker just dropped in. Parker, huh? I wondered where that kid had been. Well, he's better than nobody. Come off it, man. He's as good as they come and you know it. Yeah, but I don't want to tell him. And he's sitting right there. All right. There's a riot at the city penitentiary. They're holding the warden hostage. I need pictures, so get going. First, let's talk money, says Peter. Oh, there's no time. There's no time to hassle. You want every other paper to scoop me? Spare me the crying act, mister. I'm through selling my shots to you for chicken feed. So settle for the price now or no deal. So, Peter's putting his feet down. He's not going to be treated like a chump anymore, artist rights. With me, you get tough. With me, says J. Jonah Jameson. Pete's like, yeah, look, chances are Spider-Man may be on the scene. And that means I'll be risking my life for those photos. So my price just went up. J. Jonah Jameson says in response, you're reassuring me because you're pressuring me, because you've got me over a barrel. You need to know I need those pics. And Pete's like, that's not all. I want to be a spare time staff photographer, and that means a salary. And they're into a little like they're in each other's faces. He's like, what if I say no? Get the pics yourself. You're bluffing. I am, so try me. You. Okay, you win. Says J. Jonah Jameson. For $100 for any shots I use, and you got yourself a part-time job. Now go get those pictures right now. Oh, wow. Will I?
Get those pictures now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow. And Pete's really happy. He's like, I can't believe it. I did it. I finally came out ahead of the old skinflint. I wouldn't have the nerve if not for Gwen. My luck's finally changed. I'm flying now. As long as I've got Gwendy, nothing can stop me. Oh no. My sub-minis all loaded, ready to go. I'll bring them back shots that no one else could possibly get. No one, that is, except for Spider-Man. Of course. So Spidey springs over the penitentiary. He's real happy. He sees a couple of cons guarding the roof, so he takes them down swiftly. And he hears them talking about Turpo, telling them to, watch this guy called Turpo. 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 And he gets some info out of him. He's like, yeah, who's this Turpo guy? Tell me. And he's like, we're rioting to be treated like human beings because they keep us caged like animals. We got to wait months to come to trial. We just want rights, that's all. And Spider-Man's like, okay, sure. And who, put you up to this? He's like, Turpo said he'd get him for us. So he's like, all right, show me where they are then. And the guy's like, all right. And he webs him to a wall. So Spidey's like going through the penitentiary jail place through the vents, and he ends up finding the place where the warden's being held hostage. It seems like they're making a deal with the prisoners, mainly this guy called Turpo, who's the ringleader of this whole thing. So Spider-Man is watching in. He realizes that Turpo is not doing this to actually help the prisoners. He's doing this so he can escape. So he's doing this all for his own good. He just wants to escape and then let the other guys live in shit. And it's not a very good thing to do, Turpo. And all the prisoners that are in the room hey, man, what about our list of grievances? And Turpo's like, take him to the chaplain, sucker. He's like, you never cared about the conditions in here. You just used us so we could get out. He's like, yep. So Spider-Man's like, I had enough of this. I'm going to bust this up. So he does a double dab through the window.
Oh, he does too.
Yeah, he does.
That's not quite a double dab.
Yeah, you wouldn't say so?
He's just like...
Yeah. Anyway, so he busts through the window. And he's like, gun him down, guys, says Turpo. So he starts getting gunned down, but, you know, he's got Spidey sense, so he dodges all the bullets. He batters all these guys up, and he's like, that wraps up your riot, Warden. And he's like, not quite. There's 2 other guys outside the door. So he's like, fine, I'll get them too. And he does. And he goes out to, like, all the rest of the prison. He goes, Turpo, organize your riot, but he didn't care about the conditions in here. He tried to escape using the Warden as a hostage while you all covered for him. He's like, oh, why should we believe you, said the prisoners. And one of the other prisoners that were in the room with Spider-Man comes out. He's like, because I'm telling you to. The man's talking straight here, but Turpo didn't mean nothing. There's more important stuff to think about. The Warden agrees with most of our gripes, and he said he's going to try and help us. If we just go back to our cells, then he's going to request amnesty for every last one of us. So they do that. And Pete's like, my submini was just clicking away. I bet I got some good photos. So he leaves, starts swinging through the city, and then some guy's like, hey, Spider-Man, I'm glad I saw you. He's a television guy. He wants Spider-Man to come to this television show tonight. And he's like, oh, I don't know. You know, what does it pay? Says Spider-Man. He's like, what do you mean? I don't want to pay you. You get fame. And Spider-Man's like, what? I'm already famous, idiot. He's like, all right.
Paid an exposure.
Yeah, pretty much. And the guy's like, all right, fine. I'll pay you the usual rate. And Spidey's like, it's a deal. I'll be back before tonight. And he's like, oh, I better hope that the usual rate's a good rate because I kind of need money tonight for Gwen's, taking out Gwen. So he gets back to the, he develops the photos and then gets back to the Daily Bugle. And his hands in the photos are like, these are amazing photos, Peter. And he's like, all right, where's my pay? And they're like, oh, dude, like, talk to, what do you think I am? Like a fucking bank teller? Go talk to Robbie about it. So Robbie's like, all right, so because you're in the payroll now, you're on a salary, remember that payday's on Friday. So drop by anytime after 3 to pick up the check. And Pete's like, shit, I don't get paid till Friday. He's like, oh no, I'm seeing Gwen tonight. How will I manage to take her out? He's like, now I've got to go to that TV show and make sure I get paid right on the spot. So he swings over to the TV studio. He's like, all right, I'll do it, man. So the guy's like, all right, I'll introduce you to the live studio audience. So he goes and he's like, look, it's Spider-Man. And then all the people are like, whoa, yeah, it's Spider-Man. They're filming him and he has to prove he's Spider-Man. So he... Is it still recording? I pressed menu accidentally.
No, it is, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so he has to prove he's Spider-Man, so he like does some swinging stuff and like sticks to the walls, webs and everything. And then he's like, oh yeah, so it is, you know, it's the real Spider-Man. And he's like, first I've got something to say before we like, you know, interview me. And he starts talking about the bad prison, like conditions and all that and how they're being treated like shit in prison. And the police show up because Spider-Man forgot that he's still a wanted man.
Oh no.
So he has to run away before he gets paid. So that was all for nothing. So he swings away. He's like, oh nuts, I didn't get paid, but you know what? Honestly, I can't delay it any longer. It's time to change and call for Gwen. Even, you know, if I'm like still poor, I can't just keep lying to her and just like, you know, be late and stuff. Like I'm gonna do things right this time with Gwen. So he just shows up. He's gonna just level with her and tell her that he's broke. So he rings the doorbell and she's like so happy to see him. He's like, Peter, I knew you wouldn't be late. He's like, but she's like, why do you look so down? He's like, I'm just disappointed, honey. I want to take you to the best restaurant in town. But she's like, Peter Parker, you're an idiot. I'd have no intention of going out. I'm spent all afternoon cooking dinner for us and we're staying right here. And she's like, this is the one time I'm having you all to myself. And Peter's thinking, Parker, you may have been a loser before, but it looks like you finally did something right. Yay, it ended a nice way again. So nothing really went wrong. It was just kind of a filler issue, it felt like. Just stuff happening. So yeah, there you go.
Good job, Gwen.
Yeah.
She's back.
She is.
Gwen is back. This is issue 100. Can you believe it? We've made it 100 issues
Wow.
now. Yeah.
I kind of can't believe it, honestly.
Can you? Mm-hmm. It's still a lot.
It is a lot, yeah.
And at the front it says, at last, the great long-awaited 100th anniversary issue. Which is not true, because that would indicate that this has been going for 100 years.
Yeah, anniversary is annual, so what the fuck?
So, yeah, the cover's kind of cool. It's like Spider-Man, he's crawling, and like all his villains' faces and side characters' faces are in the background. Like in a chalk outline kind of thing. Not like they're dead, but like it's chalk versions of their faces.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So Spider-Man, he's swinging around for hours, as he does. And he comes across a gang, he kicks them in the face, because, that's what he does. He's Spider-Man. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, pretty much he swings away. He's like, it's funny, I didn't get as much of a charge out of tackling those jokers as I used to. Even swinging around town isn't the same, doesn't give me the same old kick. Might as well face it, I'm just bored. I used to think I was a million times better off than they are down there. Which, did he really ever think that?
No, I don't ever.
He's like, but now I'm beginning to wonder, at least they're really living, while I seem to be spending my time watching life from the sidelines. So he goes home and changes into his clothes. He's like, I might as well admit it. I know what I want, and that's Gwen Stacy.
Aww.
But even though she doesn't talk about it anymore, she still thinks Spider-Man's to blame for her father's death. It's tough enough to keep my secret identity from her now, but once we're married, the strain could be too great.
Hey.
So, he goes home and he brings up this thing where he's like, so I've been secretly working on this potion for a while now, since...
Potion?
Yeah, he's like, ever since I got my powers, just in case one day I want to get rid of them because the radioactivity gets to my blood or something and tries to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an anti-serum to get rid of his powers. He's like,
Whoa,
I think...
what the fuck?
Yeah, he's like, no, I think it's time,
It's okay.
He's like, I think it's time now, I've been doing this for a while. I've been doing it for 100 years, so, it's time to...
It's been 100 years, so, it's probably about time.
He was like, I could never be sure that my radioactive blood wouldn't become dangerous. So he's like, yep, let's have a sip. And he has a sip, and he's like, oh, shit, my head, my ears. It's like a million Is this recording? Yeah. It's like a million explosions inside my brain.
Birds are
The
fighting.
wildlife. There's no way to tell how long it will take or what the final result will be. But I'm sure of one thing. Once it's over, it will never be the same. And he's like passing out. And he looks so weird. I'll show you his head.
Ew! I hate that panel. That's so gross.
And yeah, he's like having a weird nightmare dream, fever dream. He's like, oh, Aunt May, I'm sorry. Sorry Uncle Ben was killed. I always feel responsible.
No, this is awful.
I saw the murder before the crime was committed. And he's like talking about his past. He's like, J. Jonah Jameson, if you ever found out my secret identity, I'd be out of a job. If it weren't for Spider-Man, I would have had Betty Brant instead of Ned Leeds getting to her instead.
Why is he sucking about that?
I know, and he's like, but now it's Gwen I truly love anyway. But then her father died. I almost lost her too. And then he's like on a rooftop in the Spider-Man costume. He's like, why?
To kill himself.
He's like, why must everything I touch end in tragedy? And he's walking around, and suddenly he's like, what's that voice getting weaker?
Is that who I think it is?
Yeah, and the vulture comes and swoops him. But it's like, what is happening right now? Because it's like, we're not quite sure at the moment if this is still in his dream or if this is like reality.
Yeah.
But he's like, the voice is coming closer. And he gets swooped by the vulture. And he falls. He's like, oh, what the fuck? And vulture says, you can't do this. You can't. You can't harm me. You only harm your loved ones.
Okay, so this is a hallucination.
Yeah, and Spider-Man's like, what? How do you know? You can't tell anyone. You mustn't. And vulture's like, see ya, chump. And he's like, I still hear that voice calling my name. And he gets hit in the face by a tail. And it's Dr. Connors, the lizard himself. He's like, I waited for months knowing I'd find you someday. And he's like, the lizard? It wasn't you who called. What? Whose voice was it then? So he fights the lizard, and he's like, okay, I've fought the lizard now. But I can still hear that... Ants. Oh, no.
Okay, it's fine. They're gone.
Like, I can still hear... Okay.
Yeah, I just hate ants.
A bug's life is better.
Yeah, okay, keep going.
He's like, okay, why is that voice still calling me? Then Green Goblin comes past. And he's like, Green Goblin? He's mocking me. He's like, this time you must be vanquished. Mm-hmm. He's like, he's hurling stun bombs. I can still hear the cry. It comes from all around me. But then he kicks the Green Goblin down. He's like, okay, maybe survival is all that anyone can hope for. The whole world has gone mad.
Yep.
Nothing makes sense.
Yep, pretty much, dude. Same.
My hair, I can't see. Spider-Man's like, why do my sides pain me so much? Nobody hit me there, and yet it felt like a pain that's never been there before.
My sides.
And And we might find out why his sides are hurting. And
He
then,
laughed too much.
yeah, maybe. And he's like, I've got to follow this voice and why it's calling me. And Doc Ock's arms come at him. And he's like, Spider-Man. Anything can happen to you. Someone like you, someone whose life has been a fraud and a lie. And Spider-Man's like, stop being mean to me. He doesn't say that. He's like, it's not true. It isn't. And he yeets Doc Ock at a wall. And yeah, he's like, I can still hear the voice calling. It's getting very repetitive by this point. And he's like, if I can just learn who's calling me, maybe I can find answers I need. And he's crawling up a roof and he's like, the Kingpin? That's not your voice I was hearing. And Kingpin's like, it's okay. I wouldn't worry about it. It will soon be gone. You'll feel no pain when I'm through
Oh
with
my
you.
God.
You'll feel nothing. And he's like, the Kingpin?
Sorry, there was a fly on my hands.
Kingpin fucking guts him, punches him against the pole and shit. Spider-Man defeats Kingpin, he knocks him out. So you're probably wondering, like, what's this all going to?
Yeah, what is this?
And suddenly he's like, the voice, it's clear now. And he looks up to the sky and Captain
It's
Stacy's
Captain
head is in the
Stacy?
clouds.
Oh no.
And he's like, listen to me, Peter. I know your secret.
Now.
I know who you really are, what you really are. But the tragedy is that you don't know who you really are.
Oh no.
And Peter's like, you're dead. How can I hear you? And then he's like, even a voice that's been stilled can be heard. If you listen, you've been given great power, and you've tried to use it for good, but no man could do no more. There have been others. I don't know why I'm speaking like he's James Earl Jones. There have been others
Never
with powers.
forget.
Others who have tried, yet they too were jeered, misunderstood, and finally destroyed. And Peter's like, Captain Stacy, don't go, wait. I've been delirious. This was all a dream? I remember now, I took that potion. I was trying to change me with that serum. It knocked me out. I was unconscious. And the past came back to me, to haunt me, to torment me. But the voice of Captain Stacy seems so real and so understanding. Almost as though it was more than a dream. Then he wakes up and he's like, I'm awake. My side is still aching. I feel even worse than I felt in my dream. But what's happening? The potion must have done something. It must have been something to do with the potion. And he's like, I drank the potion. Sorry.
I drank the potion.
I drank the potion, even though it was untried and untested, because I wanted it to change me, but not like this. And look at him. He's got 6 arms. And just if you're thinking like this is a hallucination again, Stanley says at the bottom, important note, this is not a cop-out, we promise you. Spidey is really awake and he has 6 arms. Our tale will be continued next issue. And that's how they ended their 100th issue.
What?
He has 6 arms. That's why his sides were aching, because they came out.
That was the last thing I would have expected. I'm okay, sure, why not? I'm actually excited for next week now. I want to know what the fuck is going on.
He can't explain that to anyone. Do you reckon he'll wear like a large trench coat?
Yeah.
Like hide them? It's like, don't open.
Don't open.
Don't open. Okay, is it time for Thomas tweets?
Yeah.
Thomas
Comments.
he
Comments.
and every week we don't know what he's gonna
Comments.
but it's probably a good one. Hey,
Yeah, there we go. That's good.
Okay, Thomas comments segment. We're back. We've got the pool episode 4, 5, whatever it was, up.
Yeah.
Because we haven't read the comments from that yet. First thing he said was, I wanted to watch the farewell, but Norway is big poo-poo with releasing smaller movies, frowny face. Yeah, that's sad. But you can watch it now because, you know why you can watch it now. If it's still out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And-
I don't think it is.
It's not? Well, then you can watch it sometime. Thomas. He says, next time you should set up a scarecrow because these birds are too keen to join in the conversation. Well, I don't know if this episode's much better. There's actual birds everywhere.
There's actual children
There's
in the
children
background.
behind us. Can you see
should-
them?
So, don't do that.
Yeah, that's illegal, isn't it? Thomas says The Tick is great, and it's very sadly cancelled.
Oh no! That's so really disappointing.
Is it? Because when I said that in this, you're like, I'm not watching that ever.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, you know me. I always change my mind about everything, so, you know.
He said, it looked like Pete is wearing his green PJs in this issue. Yeah,
Don't
he-
you
he
have
did.
green PJs?
Me? I don't have green anything. I don't like wearing green.
What?
He says, I love that throwback to season 1, episode 13. You remember when you couldn't read? Oh, wait, that's still now. No change, can't read. I don't know how I feel about that.
What does this say? I can't read.
It says Frank Mountain.
Oh, wow. Do you see that?
Oh, he said, yikes, I'm watching this in the middle of the night and that prowler sound effect jolted me. Yeah. I actually, like, reduced the sound effect by, like, 12 decibels and it was still kind of loud. Yeah.
Jeez.
He said, this beetle issue is the kinkiest issue yet. Because remember his suction feelers?
Oh, yeah, suction.
Yeah. He says, I love that a brief...
I love that.
He says, I love that a briefcase full of junk clip. Know that clip from Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Briefcase full of junk.
He says, Sammy was dissing Midsommar hard and was saying it was not as good. But I meant the opposite. That's why I said cop that. Yikes, I barely even remember why I write these things.
We barely even remember why we say some of the things we say, Thomas. Don't worry.
And he says, guys, I'm commenting as fast as I can, okay?
What?
That's what he said. He says, listen up and listen good. I watched this 12 hours after the YouTube, and if these comments aren't on the next ep, I might just stop commenting, because I'm always behind. Well, you weren't true to your word, because they weren't on the next ep, and you still commented. So cop that, mate.
Have some responsibility, man, honestly. Have some follow through.
He said, I can't believe I'm about to watch you guys have a bath for an hour plus. Oh, I guess that was the first
A
comment.
bath.
But yeah.
We weren't having a bath.
That's what he thinks this
Is that
was.
what you Norwegians do to have a
Yeah,
bath?
they jump in the pool.
It's kind of weird, honestly.
Anyways, that was that. So, this kid's screaming, and I don't like it.
Oh, did you see that? It hit my phone, actually. That's probably not a good thing.
This is from the car episode. I'm rushing only because the battery's about to run out on the
Alright, let's go.
He says, last night I couldn't sleep because Facebook showed me 9/11 videos.
Why is that funny?
He says, now I finally thought I had gotten rid of the thoughts because of crashing planes. But then you go ahead and read an issue about hijacking planes.
Yeah,
Yikes.
sorry, man. Sorry about it.
Did we release that on September 11th?
No.
September 16th, not even close.
Yeah.
He says, did you guys get enough sleep? You seem out of the reading game today, as you yourself pointed out. So he's using our own words against us
Yeah,
now.
he is, yeah.
He says, get sleep and feel
Clever.
good. I don't think we were tired. I think we were hungry.
We were hungry, yeah. I remember after that we went and had like the most delicious meal
I know,
ever.
it was so good.
So amazing.
He says, maybe you guys are getting carbon dioxide poisoning from sitting in the car too long. I heard it can make you loopy.
That's what happens in
Maybe.
Midsommar.
Yeah, we had
She
the
goes
windows
loopy.
down. He says, sick burn. I'm trying to pay attention, but it's not easy. I must have made fun of him for something. He says, I'm loving all these people that park next to you. Me too. We actually didn't see them until I was editing. And I thought that was funny, because a lot of them like looked at what we were doing. But guys, refrig is cool, hip, young people lingo.
Refrig.
I don't think that's true. Thomas said, I am something of a scientist myself.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
Because I
that's
put in a clip where he said that from the time he came on the podcast. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The one and only time he'll ever be on the podcast.
Yeah, he's never going to be on the podcast ever again,
No.
right?
He says, where in the world is the delete that footage Black Panther clip from? It's from Black Panther, the movie.
It's from Black Panther. What the fuck?
Thomas doesn't like that movie, though.
I haven't seen that, but I know what you're referencing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit where you said...
What are those? No.
No, you said, I wish I could delete that footage where you got the quiz questions wrong.
Oh, yeah. I wish. Yeah.
He said, it's okay, I've learnt to accept the video format. I'm coming for you. What? He's coming for me. For us.
I'm scared.
I just looked at the sun. He says, I like that you both wanted to squeeze fidget spinners in my face. Slow down, guys. I didn't notice we both did the exact same thing until I was editing. Because when I was reading the comic, you went like with the fidget spinner like right up to the camera. Then when you were reading, I did the same thing.
Oh, really?
I didn't know you did it.
I didn't know. I think I knew that you did it. That's probably why I did it.
But I don't know, I forget who did it first. You said after this season 5 confirmed, question mark?
Fuck no.
Yeah, no. You've got to remember that 29 minutes in New York is probably amazing considering traffic and the amount of people. Yeah, I thought about that too.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's another comment. It wasn't by Thomas though. It was on our Jordan episode 4.
It's a new comment.
Yeah, it's from some channel, and it
Some
didn't.
channel.
It's not showing, so it must have been registered as spam. But it said,
Make eye contact with me.
it says, "Good channel. You have a new sub. By the way, search for SM Zeus. Ever since I started using it on my main channel, my videos are ranking much better." What are you talking about? Fuck you. Bartholomew.
Bartholomew.
That's his name. It just says Bartholomew. Or Bartholomew Horrocks.
Did he actually subscribe?
Probably not. Bartholomew Hummus, whatever your fucking name is. Don't tell us how to get subscribers. We know we don't have subscribers. That's why we're quitting the podcast. And if you're watching this episode, I hope your SM Zeus, whatever the fuck that is, works well for you. Because, yeah, you're probably doing better than us, to be honest. That's the podcast. If you want to subscribe, you can do that at peterpalmerpod. What? If you want to follow us, you can do that at peterpalmerpod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Or you can subscribe on YouTube or iTunes or Spotify. Spotify or iTunes.
You smack the audience too. You slap them.
Yeah, okay.
Goodbye.
That's all. Goodbye.
Have a nice day.
Rate us on iTunes too, and whatever this SM Zeus thing is.
Yeah. We'll pay you.
Biru no tanima no kurayami ni